Is there any room in there left for me?
Oh, hell no!
Not my dad! You guys want to hear something? Okay.
What did you say, nigga?
This nigga is crazy.
Part 4 of JoJo's takes place in the peaceful fictional town of Morio. Unlike the previous parts of JoJo's, where the characters would travel from country to reach Egypt to eliminate the zesty aura-farming British vampire, all of Part 4 took place in this town with a complete change in art style. The town is a quiet Japanese suburb where the sun is shining with a smile and is a type of place you would see kids riding their bikes, feeling like a never-ending summer. And in a town like that, the most dangerous person shouldn't stand out. He shouldn't be loud. He shouldn't be dramatic. He shouldn't even look intimidating. Meet Kira Yoshikage. On the surface, Kira is an introverted man with an incredibly mundane life. From his career as an office employee down to his strict routine of being home by 8 p.m. His sole purpose only being to live a quiet, unremarkable life in Morio, free from stress and worry. He is the definition of the most average citizen, and that's exactly why he's terrifying. Because Kira takes advantage of that bright innocence oozing from the town, and with his gifted intelligence has calculated his future position in society since he was a child, so that he could occasionally go on dates. With freaking hands. All because when he was younger, he got a motherfucking boner looking at Mona Lisa's hands. And that, my friend, was the catalyst to Kira going on a killing spree, mainly targeting women, catching a total of 72 bodies. All this whilst hiding behind his carefully crafted facade in plain sight for 16 years, perfectly. But the thing that makes Kira so menacing isn't necessarily how despicable his actions are. Angelo takes the cake by far in that department. You can't tell me that man isn't straight out of Florida. But since he's a known convict, you know to hide your kids and your wife. And dogs, since he clearly doesn't discriminate by species. And Dio? That nigga wasn't menacing at all. He was a fraud. All he did was hide in a dark room, aura farming, hitting the same pose for 45 episodes and display a comical level of hatred towards a whole bloodline. For no apparent reason, by the way. But Kira, on the other hand, he is someone you can walk right past not knowing anything about him. Which is one reason as to why he's so menacing. Because as a villain, he is much more grounded in our reality. This wouldn't have been as pronounced without the slice of life which Part 4 contained. Part 4 could be divided into two parts, pre-Kira and post-Kira. Most people shit on pre-Kira due to the slice of life and the villains kind of feeling aimless, and highly praise the latter for having a better pacing with a clear and concrete main villain. But what if I told you that without the slice of life episodes in pre-Kira, Kira's villainy wouldn't be as compelling as it was? Which is why the biggest turning point was Shigechi's tragic encounter with Kira. So, on his lunch break, Kira decides to stop at this sandwich store, whilst on a date with a severed hand kept on the inside of his blazer pocket, just absolutely leaving behind a trail of stench, and no one noticed on his way there? Or when he pulls it out to finger blast one of the wrapped sandwiches and starts Tiana trumping the fingers.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
And decides he isn't going to buy that sandwich? Me personally, I'd be mad as hell if I bit into a sandwich only for it to taste like a 2-pack of ass and leaving me with a premium Ebola. Kira ends up finding a spot under a tree to grab in a sandwich, and coincidentally, Shigechi, Josuke and Okuyasu are on the street up the hill behind him, where Shigechi lends Josuke and Okuyasu some money in exchange for them not to have a bit of his sold out sandwich. The same sandwich Kira is eating. Then while Shigechi isn't looking, a dog runs off with his sandwich, causing Shigechi to mistake Kira's bag to be his sandwich. This moment right here is Kira's first ever slip up, as that bag contained a severed hand, which contained his fingerprints, thus threatening his goal of living a quiet life in Morio. So he does everything in his power to reverse this mistake, carefully stalking him into his middle school. And right when he's in reach to rid himself of his mistake, Josuke and Okuyasu pull up unexpectedly to eat their lunch with Shigechi, causing Kira to quickly find himself a hiding place, where he finds a hanger which he uses to fetch the bag while Shigechi is out of the room to make the boys some beverages. And when he re-enters the room to find his sandwich gone, He blames the boys, not knowing there's a literal serial killer hiding right there. Luckily for Kira, one of the staff members catches the boys chilling in the room, causing them to skedaddle, allowing Kira to obtain his bag and walk out without getting caught. Or so he thought. Hey Unc, you better hand me over my sandwich, or else. Rule number 1. If you see a strange man at your middle school campus, he could be an Epstein, so run. Rule number 2. If this strange man turns out to be Jeffrey Dahmer, you better turn into the Flash and get the fuck out of there, man. But Shigechi ain't a pussy like me, so he presses in, only for Kira to tell him about his whole autobiography before pulling out his stand, Killer Queen. A stand with the ability to turn anything he touches into a bomb, which he can detonate with his right hand, going by the name of bomb transmutation. It leaves no noise and no evidence. It's the perfect ability for a serial killer. There are 2 more abilities to this stand, but more on those later. As Shigechi attempts to put up a fight, Killer Queen detonates one of the coins that Shigechi's harbor stole from him. Guys, he's 13! But he miraculously survives the attack, and Kira is out here interrogating him, trying to get him to snitch on his homies. Even threatening his parents, but since he ain't presented with a Big Mac meal, he ain't folding, and he manages to get away. And it seems that Morio has 3 more psychopaths in this town. Because the moment these girls seen his dying kid, they accidentally launch a basketball at him at 100 miles per hour and went, ew, look at his ugly sub-3 chug. We shouldn't get him help because he's disgusting. Yeah, I know damn well this scene had a bunch of funny looking individuals doing 3 sets of bone smashing. And just when my boy reaches Josuke and Okuyasu's classroom, Kira shows up and Osama bin Laden's him by detonating the doorknob, completely eviscerating this child. Fly high, my young nigga Shigechi. Mug in peace. Now another thing that I want to mention that adds to his frightening energy is the way he absolutely victimized Jotaro and Koichi without even being there. After Shigechi's death, the gang gathered the summit and Jotaro and Koichi went on to investigate who the button that Shigechi collected in his last heroic act could have belonged to. And Jotaro, being the genius that he is, deducted that there's only one suit shop in Morio that this mystery villain could get his suit repaired in. And together with Koichi, heads there to conduct his investigation. And of course, Kira happened to be there getting his suit repaired and happened to be hiding somewhere inside the store and uses his second ability called Sheer Heart Attack to kill the store owner, preventing him from exposing the name on the suit to Jotaro and Koichi. Sheer Heart Attack is another big contributor to his menacing energy, as it posed so much of a threat that it nearly KO'd Jotaro. This had to be the first time we've seen him like this, and he's the same man who fought Dio, stole his time-stopping ability, and used it to eviscerate him. Sheer Heart Attack is an autonomous entity that detaches from Killer Queen's left hand. It is a high-range, mobile, heat-seeking bomb that leaves massive explosions in its wake. And to call it durable is an understatement, as it managed to withstand punches from Star Platinum. This is another perfect ability to protect his identity, as it doesn't require his presence. Utilizing this high range, Kira manages to leave the shop and trap Jotaro and Koichi to fight his autonomous ability, leaving Jotaro nearly dead, forcing Koichi to step up and awaken his ability, Act 3 Freeze, which he used on Kira's Sheer Heart Attack to neutralize it, which lures Kira back into the scene. But if these two struggled with one of Kira's abilities, surely Koichi alone ain't got shit on Kira, with him being present with all his abilities. Which of course leads to Koichi taking the super freak's dirty shoe in his mouth before being turned into a human donut. But let me tell you how crazy this nigga is. He knows that Josuke and Okuyasu are on the way at any second. And instead of him deciding to evacuate the scene, he decides to fix Koichi's socks as he had her on the wrong way around. He would rather risk getting caught instead of avoiding his weird control freak OCD impulse. And because he couldn't resist this impulse, Jotaro comes back from the dead, selling that injury better than The Rock taking a stunner, and proceeds to Star Platinum this motherfucker, sending him flying into the trash where he belongs. And by the time Josuke and Okuyasu have arrived, they're shocked to see two of the homies passed out dying and some random dude completely beat up. Logically, they suspect that this stranger is the one behind it, but it isn't until Kira puts up an Oscar nominee performance, making them second guess themselves. Just for this idiot to pull a J.R. Smith level fumble, as he asks Josuke to heal him up ASAP, which makes him realize that he's indeed the killer. And just when you think he's about to catch all these hands, I mean big hands, little hands, retard hands, Bro cuts off his left hand to allow Hayato to act on his own, somehow managing to outrun Josuke, Okuyasu, and a fully healed Koichi and Jotaro, as if Stephen freaking Hawking couldn't run faster than them. And somehow with that 3-second head start, this motherfucker managed to fetch himself a man with the same stature as himself, locate this woman, and get her to use a Cinderella stand to steal the man's face, fingerprints, and hair? Araki, you are not going to gaslight me into believing that he escaped a 5-star wanted level. Don't try to play the fool with me. But this isn't the only time that he had an ass pull of an escape. Which brings me to his third ability called Bites the Dust. The ability that makes him the scariest JoJo's villain. But to understand his power, I need to talk about this kid right here, going by the name of Hayato. Hayato is the son of the man's identity that Kira stole in the most nonsensical way. And this little kid is incredibly weird, cause little bro has a camera set up in his parents' room. So you're telling me his dad got caught by a dying man, and this little kid is a super freak? Yeah, nuke the whole generation. But Hayato becomes incredibly suspicious of his dad, as he notices he acts differently, his shoes doesn't fit him, and he's constantly practicing his signature. Something is completely off. So one day Hayato stalks his father with a camera and follows him to an apartment. And lo and behold, your father is Kira, a maniac whose nails have grown at an abnormal rate, signifying his prolonged resistance to his sick urges, and decides to go on the hunt for the first time in a while. And as Kira has relapsed on his desires, Hayato, completely shaken to the core, managed to capture his brutality in 4K. Fast forward, Hayato is in a bath with a tape, absolutely shocked at what he had just witnessed. However, Kira is onto him and channels his inner Epstein, asking to join him in the bath before letting him know that he knows that Hayato has witnessed what he had just done. But Hayato courageously presses him, letting him know that there are cameras installed in the bathroom. So he kills him. Now this is Kira's third major slip-up. He's stressing, about to lose his mind. And now surely, Kira is going to get caught, right? Fuck no, because Rogue is conveniently placed by the arrow again, unlocking his third overpowered ability called Bites the Dust. Bites the Dust is an independent bomb that implants Killer Queen into a host's body. If the host reveals Kira's identity in any way, willingly or unwillingly, this ability will trigger, and any investigators will be blown up before a time loop commences that sends everyone back an hour. In short, this third ability is reality itself protecting his anonymity. This power was used to rewind time back an hour, reversing the killing of Hayato, and then using it on Hayato to prevent him from revealing Kira's new secret identity, resulting in him constantly reliving the same hour. This moment is both confusing and terrifying, as every time you think he will get caught, his will to carry out his goal is so powerful that he can even defy logic. The power is so fucking evil that it even made him look even more villainous. However, with consistent effort and exposure to the loop, Hayato managed to rewrite fate by baiting Kira into confessing his identity to Josuke, forcing him to release Bites the Dust from Hayato in order to protect himself, which manages to break the loop, resulting in him being the MVP of the whole entire arc. And when you think he's finally going to get stomped out by the squad, he gets defeated by none other than anime's greatest threat, Truck-kun, literally getting isekai'd before getting sent to the purgatory. And that right there is why Kira Yoshikage is one of the most menacing villains in all of anime. This man didn't want to rule the world, he didn't want to become the perfect being, he didn't want to destroy Morio. Bro just wanted to wake up, go to work, get home by 8 PM, and commit a little serial murder on the side. That's what makes him so terrifying, because unlike the other JoJo villains who walk into the room and unapologetically announce themselves as the villain, Kira could be your co-worker and you wouldn't even think twice about it. And for 16 years, that system worked perfectly, until he was narrowly caught by the gang. This is pretty much the end of the video. And I want to say, there's so much to talk about in this part alone, let alone JoJo's as a whole. So I'm probably going to make some more videos in the future. In the meantime, thank you for watching and see you next time.